Fabulous panel tonight, cobbled together, basically offered a few quid because they've got nothing else to do. Former Brexit Party... it's all ladies tonight. Former Brexit Party MEP Alex Phillips, hello.
Hello.
Lovely. Former Labour advisor, oh God, Frankie Leach, and TalkTV presenter Nicola Thorp. You're in the minority tonight, Alex. Can you put up on screen, please, a picture of the barges? This is what Sunak suggests we should house illegal migrants in. Is it going on screen? 3, 2, 1, go. Rubbish. It's not that quick. We haven't got it. Nicola, good evening.
Good evening.
Barges, army barracks.
Well, you don't have the photos because they don't exist. Yes. Dominic Raab went on the circuit this morning.
You're wrong. It's on. Show it now.
OK, here we go.
There's a barge.
But that's an example that the Daily Mail used this morning of an example ship that could be used. They
it was
can't
the
name...
Sun. It was the Sun.
Oh, right. Well,
Front page of the Sun newspaper.
OK.
Britain's best.
Well, Dominic Raab couldn't name where those boats were or in which way they were going to be used. I want to challenge something that Jake Berry just said. He spoke about the hotel in Blackpool, this allegedly 4-star hotel. I know the hotel in Blackpool. I'm from there that asylum seekers are being held at. It is not. It's called the Metropole. It is not a 4-star hotel. You would not take your family to stay there. The conditions, yes, they might be better than people who are struggling to pay their bills, etc. But that is the fault of the government. But not the fault of victims, as Jake Berry just called them, victims of people smugglers.
But, Alex, do I miss the point? One thing that Jake said that I absolutely adhere to is he said this is abhorrent to the British people who are struggling. And whether or not the left jump up and down and say, you know what, this is inhumane. What about what Great Britain is good for? We're stuffed as a nation and we can't afford it and people are hacked off.
Well, first of all, apologies to the Metropole Hotel. I don't know what it is, but it's pretty libellous to say that you wouldn't take your children there when this is a running business.
Oh, but it's not libellous to accuse all these people of being economic illegal immigrants.
I think he said Alex. Who is coming over the channel? Is it the court of King Caraticus or something? These are people trying to get into the country illegally. A quarter of them are Albanians who are not fleeing from any sort of persecution. And this idea that it's somehow inhumane to put them in army barracks good enough for our soldiers, that sort of barge, which is actually what's used for people who work on oil rigs to stay on a temporary basis. And the whole point is actually what we need is the Home Office to start processing quickly so people are only in this accommodation for a short period of time. What we've got now is people just lingering around in a quagmire, filling up British hotels, and it is abhorrent to British people that they're paying £6 million.
No. Frankie Leach, evening.
I'm going to ask you a question here. You said it's libellous to say that you wouldn't take your children in. I'll tell you what's libellous, referring to all of these people as illegal immigrants. There are currently no ways, unless you're from Afghanistan, unless you are somebody coming over from an old Syrian scheme, or unless you're from Ukraine, to get to this country legally. This is why we have a... He said, Frankie. This is why we have a small boats crisis. This is why we've got people who can't get here safely. People are dying in the Channel, not because we're inviting people with open arms so they can stay in hotels. It is because we are making it harder for people who have a right. Everyone has a right to seek asylum, Alex, and what this is making it happen.
Everyone has a right to seek asylum.
Precisely. So why are you going to put them all in hotels?
Let me give you a little bit of a truth pill here.
Alex.
17.8 billion people live in extreme poverty. 14 countries in the world currently have some sort of terrorist insurgency, civil war, or are at war.
And only 45,000 are coming over to the UK.
Precisely. We've got the smallest amount of migrants in the UK.
Almost three-quarters of countries in the world outlaw homosexuality in some way. So basically what you were saying is all these people would technically qualify
and yet only 45,000 making the journey.
So a country that currently has a population of 65 billion and with public services,
but we let over 160,000
with our population projected to increase by 4 million every year, has now got to say to 3/4 of the world's population.
And you think every single one of them is going to come over the UK?
Right, I'll tell you what, ladies, before this descends into a squabble, good God, it's only 7:10. We went out on the streets today because I will always bring this back. Whatever your political persuasion, whichever political party thinks it's going to win power in less than 2 years' time, they're going to have to understand that the British people, Frankie, Nicola, are hacked off. Now, whatever the answer is, I don't know. Let's have a sample of what the people on the streets of Great Britain thought today. Have a watch.
I think the main problem is that in this country we don't have enough houses, and I think that the government have allowed this problem with refugees to build up over a number of years. Now it's a crisis. Had they dealt with it properly over, say, the last 5 to 10 years, we wouldn't be in this situation.
As a policy, I don't think it's the best because it's not the safest. I think hotels or there's loads of vacant housing they could go into. I think it's just like a little a little quick fix.
It doesn't really make sense to me. It seems illogical. It seems like if you're spending money on something like that, I mean, I can't understand why they would make a bespoke place to live.
Obviously, hotels is costing a lot of money, so that's not the right idea as well. Cramping families into hotel rooms for months or years, so it's not really ideal. So I think there needs to be a more permanent solution.
It's a good idea, but probably won't solve the problem. It won't stop them coming. They'll keep coming as long as them boats are coming. They'll keep coming, no matter what.
Nick, I thought Jake made a point as well when he said, you know, at the moment it's all about stop the boats, right? And whether or not that's electioneering, whether or not it's feasible, it seems to me that Sunak's put most of his shirt on the whole thing, and it isn't going to happen, I suspect, that quickly. Before that, it was lorries. Now, before we descend into this argument, just do something that nobody seems to be able to explain to me. Let's imagine we've got a Labour government tomorrow.
Yes.
What in the name of the Lord are they going to do to stop this? I don't want to hear about all of them should come to this country, because I'm sorry, they shouldn't all come to this country.
I'm not saying that they should all come to this country. I'm saying we should provide safe ways for people who have a right
But
to
if you provide a safe way, which I get, does that not encourage people to come even if they're not entitled to be here? That's my question.
No, you set a quota, you set a limit to the number of people
How?
that the government are currently talking about, around about 20,000. I think it should probably be a little bit more than that, but say 40,000 a year, safe routes, and that's the limit. We will process you when you get here. We invest more in processing centres in the UK and in France, beef up security in France to stop people smugglers at the source. If you want to stop the boats,
Why should we beef up security in France? Why don't the bloody French beef up security?
Because apparently it's the biggest issue in the UK, Jeremy.
You
apparently
can't have it both ways.
You can't have it both ways. If it's an invasion, then why aren't we stopping it?
But do you never ask yourself, Alex is going to support me, do you never ask yourself why these illegal migrants, because there are some, right?
But they're not illegal migrants. We need to use specific
Why don't they stay in France? Because in France you have to live on a beach in a tent, and in England, as those people all said on Vox Pop, whether you like it or not, they get a better deal. An easier way, Alex, do they not, to slip into the economy and take advantage when we are in a particularly bad situation?
First of all, I am so fed up of hearing people just vacuously say, let's provide safe routes. If you're going to provide safe routes, where are they going to be to whom? How do you discern who deserves to come of your 40,000?
Alex.
You really don't give me a chance to say a word, do you? I mean, hold your horses. So first of all, if you then have to discern who's allowed to come and who isn't with your cap of 40,000, it's not going to stop the boats, because far more than 40,000 people around the world want to come. So it's not going to do a thing to stop those boats, frankly. And secondly, where are you going to put these? I mean, I've heard a Labour politician say, let's put that...
80% of people who come over in the boats, let's take last year, for example, did actually qualify for asylum in the UK.
Exactly. In the UK, but actually...
Let me speak now, Alex. 80% of those people wouldn't have needed to take the boats. They could have come via a safe route.
Oh, great. Well, let's just have everybody who might qualify.
No,
and
just
here's the other thing. Under the way that we interpret...
Frankie, Leach.
We're not the only country that takes in asylum seekers, Alex. I hear what you're saying.
I know.
Let me finish. Basically, if we open safe routes, I'll tell you a really good way to do a safe route. Let's take the Syria route. It was fantastic. We essentially opened up a route. We allowed people to get on planes without passports, without needing a visa. They were able to come here. They were processed really quickly. I did an interview 2 weeks ago with a Syrian migrant. He's a restaurateur. He has 40 staff.
Okay, this is
He's
great.
bringing one. It is great, Alex. It is great because they are contributing to this economy. They are paying taxes and they will pay for your pension.
But what about all the people on the boats from Somalia, from Sudan, from India, from Pakistan,
all valid
from
countries to be
Eritrea,
able to
from
claim asylum?
I'm moving on. I'm moving on.
Come on in.
Prime Minister questions today, and I make the point because Sir Keir Starmer and Rishi Sunak attended the funeral of the late, great Betty Boothroyd, the first female Speaker of the Commons. She was buried today, died at 93. So we had an interesting spectacle today. We have Dominic Raab showing himself to be as ridiculous as everybody knows he is by calling the late, great Paul O'Grady Paul Grayson. And then we had Angela Rayner. She went for the Tories on crime today. I'm going to say something that you're going to say is shallow. She outperforms her boss at the dispatch box by a merry mile, Angela Rayner, doesn't she? She makes Keir Starmer look even more dreadful than everybody thinks he is.
I would agree with you. I don't think that's shallow. She's a very good orator. She's very good at the dispatch.
Have a watch. Here's our Ange.
The Deputy Prime Minister knows firsthand the misery caused by thugs and their intimidating behaviour, lurking with menace, exploding in fits of rage, creating a culture of fear and maybe even, I don't know, throwing things. So can I ask him, under his new antisocial behaviour, Does he think more bullies will be brought to justice?
Madam Deputy Speaker, I can reassure the House I've never called anyone scum.
And do you know what worries me on a serious note? We are in the middle of a cost of living crisis. We're in the middle where we're being flooded genuinely by some migrants who should stay and some other. And those two are just ripping bits out of each other. Angela Rayner is better than Starmer, isn't she?
I would say so. I think she's a much better performer.
Yeah.
But I think she's right, which is essentially that Dominic Raab is getting away with some really supposed...
It's not proven yet.
I'm saying supposed bad behaviour.
And she called the Tories scum. You think that language is acceptable in the House of Commons?
Look, I'm not going to get into the merits of what we should
never get into something if it's a criticism
people.
of the left?
Because...
You're allowed to intimate that he is a bully, but you will not accept that her language in calling Tory MPs scum is acceptable, because that's not role model behaviour.
I never said it was a good thing that she called them scum. I'm just saying it's not for me to police Angela Rayner's language. What is appropriate is to call out bullying behaviour, and that's what she did. And you'll say I won't take any criticism of the left. I'm happy to take it from any of you, but when you're not being factual and when we're not talking about legal basis, I will challenge it, because in this debate, the biggest problem that we have on both sides is misinformation. And I think the only way to have an appropriate debate about this, whatever your opinions are, is to have the facts.
She's on it tonight. Alex, just before we go to a break, is crime something that Labour could make inroads into the Tories at the next election? Is her talking about crime relevant?
Well, someone's got to make inroads, because we're in a situation where if your car gets nicked, the police don't bother turning up. Yeah. We're in a situation where stabbings are now off the charts in London. We're in a situation where women are terrified to walk down the street at night for fear they're going to be sexually assaulted. So, yes, someone's got to do something. And I think whether you're party in red, party in blue, doesn't matter. Yeah. It's all about actually getting on top of the failure that is the Home Office and actually bringing policing back to policing. I mean, how many times do we have to point this out over and over again on programmes like this, that instead of going after, you know, tweets, hate crime on Twitter and social media, what about stopping people nicking stuff?
Absolutely. I have to finish. You'd agree with that. Would you just say, yes, I agree with you, Alex?
I agree with the sentiment.
Right, there we go.